Hello, I'm Tom Wicknick. Welcome to the KZGN News.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
In Sierra Sands School District news, the District Board of Directors met last Thursday and got an update for some construction changes for the new Murray Middle School they're getting ready to build. The project manager requested approximately $38,000 to make some design changes that would ultimately save the project about $250,000. Board member Kurt Rockwell expressed concern in continuing changes as they are still trying to move the project along. The project manager said the things they were taking out would not impact the real importance of the project, which is a new quality school for the kids. They're just recommending taking out some unnecessary things to save money. In other policy news, the board was told by Superintendent Bell that the law has recently changed concerning parents and the immunizations required for admitting students, and some parents' use of the refusing the immunizations based on personal beliefs. The new policy would follow state law and require that parents using the personal belief exemption will require parents to present a list of what immunizations the student has received and which they haven't. Additionally, the parent would have to get a doctor's written verification of the student's immunization status. Without that signed record by a doctor, the student would not be admitted as a student. The Ridgecrest Police Department has issued the following press release. Be a saint, drive sober. St. Patrick's Day is one of the deadliest days of the year because of drunk driving. St. Patrick's Day brings to mind shamrocks, leprechauns, pots of gold, and good luck. But no amount of luck can save you from a drunk driving crash. So whether you're buzzed or drunk on St. Patrick's Day, it doesn't matter. The police department wants to remind everyone that buzz driving is drunk driving. Drive sober. The Ridgecrest Police Department will be deploying roving DUI patrols to St. Patrick's Day, looking to stop and arrest drivers who are impaired by alcohol or drugs. These DUI patrols are in addition to the regular scheduled patrol officers, all looking for the telltale signs of an impaired driver behind the wheel. In 2013, there were 31 people killed in drunk driving crashes on St. Patrick's Day. All in all, during the St. Patty's Day period from 2009 to 2013, there have been 276 drunk driving fatalities. Every one of those lives was lost because of a bad decision. Unfortunately, March 17th has become a deadly day in the United States with a dramatic spike in the drunk driving fatalities. And we're not just talking about a little bit too much to drink here. From 2009 to 2013, almost 3/4 of the drunk driving fatalities on St. Patrick's Day involved drivers who were twice the legal limit. The Ridgecrest Police Department offered this advice to partygoers. Get ahead of the decision this year. If you know you're going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with alcohol, then figure out a plan ahead of time for how you'll get home. Don't wait until you're too buzzed to decide. And don't let your friends drive drunk. Buzz driving is drunk driving. So if you have anything to drink, count on a sober friend, taxi, or public transportation to drive you home safely. Not drinking? Maybe this St. Patrick's Day, you'll be the saint who drives your friends sober. Let's make 2015 different. Use this party planning checklist to stay safe this St. Patrick's Day. Now, even if you don't have plans yet, plan to drive sober or designate someone else too. Save the number of a taxi company in your phone so you always have a backup plan. When you make plans, a sober driver is an essential part of any party plan. Once you'll know where you'll celebrate, decide whether you're drinking or driving. You can only choose one. On St. Patrick's Day, before you take your first sip of green beer, leave your keys at home or give them to a friend. If you're the designated driver, don't drink. Enjoy non-alcoholic beverages and brag about your VIP, very important partygoers, status. Every day, if you're impaired, use a taxi. Call a sober friend or family member, or use public transportation to get home safely. Drugs, medication, and alcohol equals crashes. Recent statistics reveal that 30% of drivers in fatal crashes had one or more drugs in their system. Funding is provided by a grant from the California Office of Traffic Safety through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that reminds everyone to report drunk drivers, call 911. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Ridgecrest Police Officer Nathan Lloyd at nlloyd@ridgecrest-ca.gov. Now, in KZGN's continuous effort to provide news and information you have asked for, we are bringing back a short segment we used to provide, but expanding it a little bit. We used to give local gas prices for your information, which people like seeing. However, we've been asked by our frequent traveler that goes between here and Point Magoo to provide gas prices between there and here. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $3.09 to $3.59. Lancaster is ranging from $3.19 to $3.79. In the LA Valley area, they're going from $3.19 to $3.79. And in the Bishop area, $3.29 to $3.34. So we have 5 Ridgecrest stations cheaper than Costco in Lancaster. We will be providing these prices 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We'll do Fridays so you know the best place to fill up if you're heading out of town. Of course, we at KZGN always suggest you fill up here to support your local economy. Remember, when you pay any sales tax out of town, you are helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. In stock market news, the markets are reacting positively to a strong dollar and strong euro in Europe. Currently, we see the Dow Jones is sitting at 17947, up 198 points. The Nasdaq is sitting at 4921 and trading up at 50 points. And finally, the S&P is currently sitting at 2076, up 23 points. So the markets are moving positive the first day of the week. Stay tuned for an exclusive interview with Dave Shipley when we return. Hello everybody, I'm Tom Wicknick, and today I'm interviewing Dave Shipley. He's the instructor for California concealed weapons licenses. And we have a lot of people that ask quite often about how do you get a license and what does it take to get one and what's the background check and things like that. So Dave, if you could enlighten our viewers on what is a concealed weapons license and what does it take to get it. And of course, we'd want to address both. We have the city, which is Ridgecrest, and then we have the county, which is Kern County. So if you could address that in a short time frame, that'd be good.
I'll be glad to try to.
Okay.
Well, first of all, a concealed carry license is a step beyond just standard gun ownership. As everybody has a right to own a firearm in the United States, there are requirements to be able to then carry that firearm in a concealed manner. And in order to do so, you have to be licensed by the state of California. So where we live here in the Indian Wells Valley, there are 2 licensing authorities. One is the police chief for the city of Ridgecrest, and the other is the sheriff for the county. And depending on where you live will then dictate who you get to apply through.
Right, so if you live in the city, generally you're supposed to go through the chief of police, and if you're in the county, you're supposed to go through the county sheriff.
Well, if you live in the city, you actually have the choice of either going through the chief of police or the sheriff's department. But if you live in the county, then you have to go through the sheriff's department. For Ridgecrest City residents applying, you can either apply through the police department, and it's a simple matter of going down to their front office and asking for the concealed carry application, otherwise known as a CCW. We call it a CCW, and you take that home and fill it out. It's about 21-page application, and it's asking for your background and some other information related to firearms. And you then turn that application in, and there's a small application fee through the city to apply. The police department will then review that application and contact you for an interview to discuss it. With anyone applying through the county, through the sheriff's department, it's a similar process. You can go to the sheriff's substation, or you can go to the sheriff's website and get the application off of their website. You fill that out, and then you'll take that to the sheriff's substation to turn it in. And for both agencies, there are instructions that are included with that application, so you know what documents to bring and so forth. I guess the number one question is, what do I need to be able to justify getting a CCW?
Right.
And it's just simply showing some sort of need that you need to be able to protect yourself because of a potential threat. And that need might be caused by being a property owner, you're picking up rent, or you might be a business owner, or you have a hobby where you have a lot of equipment that might be expensive that a criminal would want to do you harm to get from you, or anything where you would have a threat to yourself. And so you have to be able to articulate that in writing. It doesn't have to be a ton of information, just some basic information, and then the sheriff's department or the police department would ask for additional amplifying information if they need it.
Right.
So you're basically having to justify why you should be able to carry a firearm loaded and concealed out in public versus just any other private citizen. So demonstrating some sort of potential threat. And of course, that can range from having death threats due to a marital dispute or a financial dispute to simply just having something of value that the public would have to have knowledge of in order to consider that to be a threat.
Okay. All right. Being part of Guns for Us downstairs, one of the most common questions we get is that there's always a rumor mill and about getting the CCW.
Sure.
And we get them downstairs anywhere from, we hear it's almost impossible to get one to, I want to get one. And every day we're being asked, how easy is it to get one in the city and in the county, comparatively speaking to the rest of California?
That's a good question. The Kern County Sheriff's Department has historically been very liberal in issuing CCWs. It doesn't take much of a justification in order for them to accept that application and authorize issuance. The city historically has had its policy change considerably, and they are now also very CCW friendly. So it is one of the easiest places in California to obtain a CCW is through our local jurisdictions.
Okay. One question that comes up is, when you have a CCW, you're the instructor, okay? So to get the CCW, I want to know, what is the actual class? How's your class set up for the instruction? How much classroom versus shooting and that type of thing?
Okay.
Just a real brief overview.
Sure. Once you get approved by either jurisdiction, the sheriff or the police, to continue on with the process, you have to take an 8-hour initial CCW class. And that goes through a lot of law. It goes through some basic marksmanship. And at the end of the class, you have to qualify with one of the weapons that you're going to list on your CCW.
Right.
So the majority of the classroom, or the majority of the class, is administrative classroom time, and then there's an hour roughly at the end of the class for the weapons qualification.
Okay.
And depending on how good of a shooter you are coming into the class,
Right.
Depends on how long that really takes. And you don't have to be an expert marksman to take the class, because part of what I teach is how to shoot. So if I have a novice shooter, I'll spend a little bit of extra time with them to help them be able to qualify.
That's good.
And equip them with those skills.
Right. Yeah, because mainly the shooting is really to show you proficiency in being able to use the gun in that type of scenario.
Correct.
Okay, and so you have to sign off on that.
Yeah, and the shooting is really not the part to be concerned with, because the shooting portion of the class is, like you say, it's more of a safety check. It's to ensure that you can handle a firearm safely and that you don't hurt anyone with it except the intended target. But It's mostly to verify the safe handling of the weapon. As far as the qualification goes, you're not shooting at great distances like you would for law enforcement or military qualification, which is out to 25 yards.
Right.
You're actually shooting close in because for concealed carry personal protection scenarios, that's where it's going to happen. And so you're not shooting at a distance greater than 21 feet, 7 yards.
Right.
And that's what statistics say is going to be that distance in which you would have to use a firearm to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. So the range portion is really checking the boxes to ensure that you can safely and proficiently handle the firearm. It's not what we call a run, bump, and thump class.
Okay.
So you're not having to...
Right. Be real active and everything else.
You don't have to be a SWAT team member.
There you go.
In order to do that.
That's a good word for it. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's good enough. That's what we wanted to get out to our people. And to get the class, they contact you, Dave Shipley?
They can go to my website, which is real easy. It's just www.ccwdave.com.
Okay.
Or they can contact the store here and get my contact information. But I have a website that shows all of my class dates, and they can actually register via my website.
Okay.
And of course, anyone dropping into the store here will get that same information and a business card on how to contact me. But it's really important to understand that they have to apply and get that initial nod before they take the class.
Right.
Taking the class is part of the process. It's not what you do up front to then get a leg up on the application.
Okay.
It's something that is required once you get the initial approval.
Okay. Very good, Dave. I appreciate you stopping by today so we could get this little interview. And again, you can also stop down at Guns for Us downstairs for more information, or go to Dave's website as he told you. Thanks a lot. I'm Tom Wicknick with KZGN-TV News. Welcome back, and now let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. Your regional forecast. In the Northeast, temperatures have been ranging from upper 30s to upper 40s. St. Louis in the low 80s. Kansas was at 85. Dallas today at 75 degrees. Cheyenne, Wyoming, 78 degrees. New Mexico came in at 65. Idaho at 56. Seattle, Washington, 51 degrees. Portland, Oregon, 53 degrees. San Francisco came in at 65. Los Angeles topped off at 70 degrees. And for us locally, tonight will be partly cloudy with a low around 49, southwest wind around 10 miles per hour. For St. Patty's Day tomorrow, partly sunny, high near 81, south-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Tuesday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 49, west wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Wednesday, things are going to change up a little bit. It's going to be mostly sunny with a high near 77, west-northwest wind around 5 miles per hour. Wednesday night, we'll have a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight. Partly cloudy with a low around 47, southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Thursday will be mostly sunny with a high near 80, west-northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday night will be mostly clear with a low around 46. Northeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that is your weather forecast for today. Have a wonderful evening, and back to Tom.
And now let's go to Tom Heck with sports and his March Madness preview.
And a very pleasant Monday afternoon. Boy, it's March Madness time, and that means the tournament brackets are out. Tomorrow we're going to go over that tournament bracket and take a good look at the breakdowns and have some fun with that and take a few guesses like everybody else is. Let's talk locally though first. Saracoso baseball, they lose to Chaffee 11-3. They defeated Chaffee last Thursday over at Chaffee 2-1. Darrell Ellen pitched a 7-hitter in that game, went 8 2/3, and then locally Ryan Sanford, a graduate of Burroughs High School, came in and closed out the deal. Not so good on Saturday though. Chaffee able to get 8 hits of their own on Saturday, and they ended up beating the Coyotes 11-3. Chaffee 11 runs, 7 hits, and 3 errors. Coso 3 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors. Pretty quick game. Joseph Martinez, who's been out with some tender soreness in his arm, pitched 5 complete innings, looked all right, but picked up the loss. He is now 0-4. All right, Burroughs High School baseball. John Bradley and crew, undefeated through their first 5 games, a perfect 5-0. They have outscored their opponent 59-14. 59-14. Now, over the weekend, they defeated Roseman 2-1 and Lancaster 5-1. They'll hit the road tomorrow. They'll go to Moore Park to play against Moore Park High School. Boy, look for them to be very competitive in the Mojave River Conference. All right, let's take a look at the NCAA championship games for the tournaments. This is always a lot of fun when they have their season-ending tournament. The Big Sky goes to Eastern Washington. They beat Montana. The Pac-12 goes to Arizona. They were all over Oregon. Oregon, on a last-second shot, won their game on Friday night against Utah. In the American East, Albany defeated Stony Brook, and these are all the teams you're going to see when you do your bracket today and tomorrow. In the Southland, Stephen F. Austin defeats Sam Houston State. In the WAC, New Mexico State beats Seattle. Now, Cal State Bakersfield actually got to the semifinals in that, losing to New Mexico State. Kentucky, they run the gauntlet. They're 34-0. They beat Arkansas. They win the NCAA. They'll be 40-0. I don't think anybody can beat Kentucky, but somebody will try. It'll be fun to see if anybody can knock off the Wildcats. In the ACC, Notre Dame, they have a late run. They beat North Carolina. In the Big East, it's Villanova over Xavier. In the American, it's SMU over UConn. Now that means that UConn, the defending champion, will not be in the 68-team draw starting on Tuesday night. Now, in the MAC, Buffalo wins. They defeat Central Michigan. In the Big West, UC Irvine comes from behind to beat Hawaii. UC Irvine beat UC Santa Barbara Friday night in overtime. In the Conference USA, University of Alabama Birmingham wins that one. The Mountain West, San Diego State goes down. They get upset by Wyoming. First time since 2002 the Cowboys are in the NCAA tournament. Big 12 goes to Iowa State. They knock off Kansas. In the Patriot, Lafayette defeats American. And in the Ivy League, the Scholars playing in a one-game playoff. Harvard defeats Yale. It's the only conference that I know of that does not play a postseason tournament. Okay, in the NBA, the Wizards are winners. Celtics, Nets, Grizzlies, Jazz. And as the NBA starts moving along towards the playoffs, that will be next. It's hard to believe, but when mid-April comes, so do the NBA playoffs. Well, that's your sports for this Monday. Don't forget tomorrow, locally, it'll be Saracoso baseball. They'll be playing home against San Bernardino Valley. They'll be on the road Thursday and then back again Saturday for a noon game. For KZGN, I am Tom Heck.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only community TV station.